All right, let's talk about probability. Today, we're going to demystify the basic rules of chance, and we're going to do it using something you've probably got lying around at a board game box somewhere.
Believe it or not, pretty much everything you need to know about probability is tucked away inside this little guy. Seriously, the core ideas that govern the odds of almost anything, they're right here. So what's the big secret? Let's find out. Okay, let's start at square one. See, before you can figure out the odds of anything, you first have to know what are all the things that could even happen in the first place. This is the bedrock of any experiment with chance.
You roll a standard die. Bam! There are exactly 6 things that can happen. It can land on a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. In the probability world, we've got a simple word for these possibilities. We call them outcomes. That's it.
So these 6 numbers, that's our whole universe for a single roll. Think of it like a complete menu of options. Every single calculation we're about to make starts right here with this complete set.
Okay, so we know what can happen. But how do we measure how likely something is to happen? Well, that's where probability comes in, and it gives us this really simple, elegant scale to work with.
Yep, that's it. The whole game of chance lives on this tiny little number line. You can also think of it as 0% to 100% if that's easier. Every single probability will always be a number that's either 0, 1, or somewhere in between. It can never be negative, and it can never be bigger than 1. Super important rule.
So let's look at the two ends of that scale, right? The bookends. A probability of 0 means it's totally, completely impossible. Think about it. Can you roll a 7 on a normal 6-sided die? Nope. So the probability is 0. On the flip side, a probability of 1 means it's a sure thing. It is absolutely, positively going to happen.
So yeah, it really just boils down to this. 0 means no way, and 1 means for sure. And everything else we care about, every single roll of the dice, every coin flip, every weather forecast, falls somewhere on that line in between.
Okay, so we've got our scale from 0 to 1, but how do we actually calculate a number to put on it? How do we go from just saying, it's kind of likely, to putting a hard number on it? Well, guess what? There's a formula, and it's super simple.
This right here is the golden rule. The probability is just the number of ways you can get what you want divided by the total number of things that could possibly happen. That phrase, favorable outcomes, just means the results you're rooting for. Let's actually use it. It'll make more sense.
All right, let's put this formula to the test. Imagine you roll the die. What's the probability you do not roll a 6? Take a second and think about it using that formula.
And the answer is 5/6. So, why is that? Well, how many outcomes are favorable to us? We want anything but a 6, so that's a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. That's 5 things we want. And the total number of things that could happen? We already know that's 6, so you just put 5 over 6. Easy, right?
Okay, you're doing great. Let's try a bit of a brain teaser now. This one trips people up all the time. What's the probability of getting a perfect score, exactly 80 marks, on an 80-mark test? Now, your first instinct might be to say 1 out of 80. But hold on. What are all the possible scores you could get?
And there's the catch. You forgot about getting a big old 0. The possible scores aren't from 1 to 80. They're from 0 to 80. If you count them all up, that's actually 81 different possible scores. And since only one of those scores is the 80 we're looking for, the probability is 1 out of 81. See? This is why being super clear about your total outcomes is absolutely crucial. All right, let's tackle the big one, the leap year problem. What are the odds a leap year has 53 Sundays? This sounds hard, but let's just take it step by step. First, a leap year has 366 days. Right. Now, if you divide that by 7 days in a week, you get 52 full weeks, plus 2 extra days. So we're guaranteed to have 52 Sundays from those full weeks. The entire puzzle comes down to those 2 leftover days. Now, what could those 2 days be? Well, they could be a Saturday and Sunday, or a Sunday and Monday, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. There are 7 possible combinations. So out of those 7 combinations, how many of them include a Sunday? Well, Saturday, Sunday works, and Sunday, Monday works. That's 2 scenarios that give us what we want. So, 2 favorable outcomes out of 7 total possibilities. The probability is 2/7. Not so scary when you break it down, is it?
All right, so we're feeling pretty good about one die. But what happens when we toss another one into the mix? How does that shake things up?
Okay, just to refresh our memory. 1 die, 6 possible outcomes. Got it? 6. Simple.
Now, We grab a second die. We roll them both at the same time. So what happens to our total number of outcomes? Do we just add them together? 6 plus 6 is 12. Is that it? Or is it something else entirely?
Nope. The number just exploded all the way to 36. And here's why. For every single one of the 6 outcomes on that first die, you have 6 more possible outcomes on the second one. You don't add, you multiply. 6 times 6 gives you 36 totally unique combinations. You could get a 1 and a 1, a 1 and a 2, all the way to a 6 and a 6.
Okay, so we've looked at single events, we've looked at what happens when you combine them, we've even tackled some tricky word problems. But through it all, there's one really beautiful fundamental rule that holds everything together. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Rolling 1 die, 1,000 dice, flipping a coin, trying to figure out if you need an umbrella tomorrow, there is one simple truth that is always in play.
The sum is always 1, always. Think back to our single die. The chance of rolling a 1 is 1/6. The chance of a 2 is 1/6, and so on. Well, what happens when you add all those probabilities together? 1/6 plus 1/6, on and on, you get 6/6, which is just 1. It's a guarantee. It means that something from our list of possible outcomes is absolutely 100% certain to happen.
So now you know the basic rules of the game. The next time you hear a weather forecast giving a 30% chance of rain, or you're playing a board game and need a specific roll, remember these simple ideas. It all starts with counting what can happen, and it always adds up to 1. So my question for you is, now that you know the rules, where are you going to see probability showing up in your life?